on your accomplishment as a member of our class of 2023, potential member. We're so excited to invite you to join our community. Now, for today's session, I am joined by a fabulous group of panelists who are going to share some of their perspectives as members of our community and members of our international community here at Hamilton. As I said at the beginning, my name is Anna Wise. I am the Associate Dean of Admission and Director of International Recruitment. So one of the admission officers who is privileged to be able to work with you and with your family throughout this application process. But I'm joined by wonderful colleagues and some of our fabulous students, and I'm going to acknowledge them here. So in the chat feature, you'll find my colleague, Ben Rose. Ben is also an Associate Dean of Admission here, and he is going to be really glad to answer any questions that you have through the Q&A feature. And on today's panel, I'm very pleased to announce our panelists, starting with Dr. Bonique. Dr. Bonique, would you be able to introduce yourself to students on our call?
Yes, thank you. Good morning and welcome to Hamilton. My name is Dr. Bonique Odigbami. I am the Director of International Student Services, and some of you have heard from me. I sent you I-20s, so I'm looking forward to meeting all of you soon.
Thank you, thank you. And we have a fabulous group of panelists representing members of our international community. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves as well, giving us your name, your year, where you're from, and if you have a major confirmed already, as well as activities on campus. We'll start with Icy.
Hi everyone, my name is Isis. I'm class of 2025, so I'm a sophomore. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. My major is biochemistry with a minor in theater. On campus, I'm one of the HEAT captains, which is our all-inclusive dance team, as well as I work as an OCT consultant and I'm an admissions affinity ambassador.
In your free time, right? Absolutely.
In my free time.
Wonderful. I'd love to pass to Uriah.
Hi, welcome to Hamilton. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. My name is Uriah Adeniran. 2026. That means I'm a first year. I'm from Nigeria originally. I'm from Nigeria, and as a first year, my major is undeclared right now because I'm still looking at opportunities like Hamilton as supervisor, which I love. And I am involved in several activities on campus, like the club soccer, the International Students Association, International Cultural Association. I'm involved in ping pong. I'm involved in the chess club. It's very interesting to me.
Thank you for joining us. And Uriah is undecided, as in the first year at Hamilton. Every student starts off undecided before declaring in the second or the third year, right? All right. And last but surely not least, Joaquin.
Hi guys, my name is Joaquin. I'm a senior here. I'm a fourth year. I'm originally from Peru, as you can probably see through my background. I study a double major in economics and French. On campus, I used to be part of the varsity soccer team. Now I'm part of the club soccer team. I like to say soccer retired me. I didn't retire soccer. I also work as a part-time barista at the coffee shop on campus. It's Foja.
Very cool, very cool. And I know you've recently also launched a couple of years ago, launched a coffee business of your own. So lots of opportunities for caffeination and entrepreneurship at the same time. So I thank you so much for introducing yourself. And I want to talk one more time about what some of our structure will be for today. So we're going to talk about a couple of questions, including some of those that were submitted through your registration forms about life at Hamilton, particularly focused for international students and international community. We'll have the opportunity for you to ask questions as well. Please feel free to use the Q&A feature for that. My colleague, Ben Rose, will be answering those questions. If we can't get to your question for whatever reason, we're going to make sure that we follow up with answers after this panel today. But Ben will be answering most of your questions in the Q&A. If he has some that he wants to pass to the panelists, he'll be able to do that as well. But with that said, we've talked about a couple of different ways of getting involved in community. I'd love to see the different types of diverse perspectives and organizations that y'all have been a member of. So I'd like to talk about, how do you get involved in communities on campus as an international student? Is that like a complicated process? Is it hard to get involved? Can I start maybe with Joaquin? How do you get involved in campus clubs and organizations?
Well, I think it's really easy. I guess I can go in order, kind of listing everything that I joined since I was a first year. So I walked on the varsity soccer team my first year. Everybody was super helpful. The guys were super nice. The coaches were super nice. Honestly, the treatment was the same as if I was not an international student, right? There's not any difference in terms of, I guess, the interactions you have with people or the way people treat you. Which is, I mean, for me, it was great because it made me feel more comfortable and more kind of at home. And then I joined the CSI program, which was the community service program on campus through the COOP. And while I applied, as everybody else does, got a couple interviews. I think I ended up doing some nonprofit work with United Way, which is a nonprofit nearby in Utica. And that allowed me to get involved with the neighboring communities. I was able to help during the floods of 2020. I think they were 2020. And then, I mean, same with every job that I've had on campus. And even off campus, I feel like if there's something you're interested in, I don't know if that's where your question was going, but in terms of community service or community impact, there's so many alumni that are involved in community impact and community service and nonprofits that I'm sure if you just send them an email, they'll be more than happy to share their experiences with you and kind of try to guide you along the way while you're at Hamilton still.
Yeah, I think that's something that not everybody realizes is the focus on community service and outreach, and how that continues. It's built not only on at Hamilton, but also continues after you graduate, as we have very, very passionate alums who are able to connect in that way as well. Uriah, I know you're Joaquin was listing some of the things you've been involved with over time. Can you talk to us about, as a first year student, did you find it a little intimidating to get involved in campus? Was that easy process? How'd that go for you?
So it was very easy because after like a week or two on campus, and there was this club fair that like there were like more than 50 clubs in the pavilion, and you just go around and register for like 10 to 15 clubs. You don't go join everything, but any club that interests you, you join them, and they will like send you emails like every single day just to like, okay, we like having you register for us, we'd like you to come to our meeting. It's not like they'll try to make sure that you don't feel like forced to come to the meeting, but they'll just advise you to come to the meeting to see if you like it. So I joined like 15 clubs on that day because I was excited, and now I'm a member of like 3 or 4 of them. But it was a very nice experience. They come to you, you don't really have to look for the clubs. They're happy to have you. So as a first year, joining clubs is not an issue because everybody is kind of interested in you, want to see what you can contribute, want you to have fun on campus. And yeah, the clubs were not really a big deal. You just have to sign up for the clubs. They will invite you to their meetings. And then if you don't come for the first time, they invite you for the second one. It's very lively. They just want you to come and be a member and have a good time with them. So I think the clubs and sessions are more about your interests, not about your inability to join them, but I'm able to join any club you want to because they want you to join them. So as a first year, I was very encouraged by the fact that the clubs wanted me just as much as I wanted them.
Absolutely. And it's like, so it's not even necessarily about finding opportunities to get involved, right? It's about balancing your own time. And I know that's something I hear from students a lot, which is, oh my gosh, I can join everything. Let's do everything at one time. And then realizing, oh, I've got to do all of this like studying and all of this other type of, and also I need some time just to breathe and be, so I know that can be tricky. And that's kind of talking a little bit about the overall experience in college, particularly for an international student. And I know Bonique, Dr. Bonique, your office does a lot of support for international student life on campus. But I'd love to, for folks who might not be totally familiar with your role at Hamilton College, can you talk to us a little bit about the role of your office and how you support international students here at Hamilton?
I'll be glad to. So the name of my office is International Student Services, and here we serve F1 students at Hamilton College by providing immigration advising and support, allowing students to navigate their path towards academic achievement, career success, and overall holistic wellness. We advocate for international student success, and we contribute to the cultural diversity of the community by promoting education and global citizenship. I spent a lot of time on advocacy on and off campus. I advocate for things that students bring to my attention that they want and things that I think they need in the community. I form partnerships outside of Hamilton to make sure that your experience in Clinton, New York is very pleasant.
Absolutely, because the community, it's on our campus, right? But it's also all around us. And I think that's something that's really important to keep in mind, particularly when you're thinking of going to another country to study. It's a very brave thing to do. So knowing that you have not only a community on campus, but a community in the town of Clinton and in the town of New Hartford and Utica nearby can be really important. So let's talk maybe a little bit about that community aspect and from student perspective. Can you talk a little bit about what it's been like in our area? Before we do that, I will talk about our towns, of course. So Hamilton is located in the town of Clinton, which is a small community, but a really great partnership for the college. It's at the base of the hill, has some restaurants, has a my favorite gelato shop, and a great artist market. We're about 10 minutes then from the town of New Hartford, which is where you have a big shopping mall. You also have lots of restaurants. I like to joke there's also movie theaters, bowling, and even a trampoline park in New Hartford. And if you go to Utica, which is about 20 minutes from campus, it's our local city where you have restaurants, you have a theater, it's a refugee relocation city. So it's a great diverse community. And they have a Amtrak and a Greyhound bus station that will connect you to all of the East Coast city locations. And the great thing is Hamilton also has a free shuttle service. So if you say, how do I get to these places? You can go during the weekday. Weekdays, it'll take you from Hamilton to Clinton and New Hartford and back, and weekends, it'll take you into Utica. Now, Icy, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about this. Have you ridden the jitney? Have you explored local community? How has it been living in Central New York?
Yeah, it's been a really great experience so far. I feel like the Jitney has really been a great service, especially for first years who aren't allowed to bring a car on campus. So it takes you to Target, which is the Sandwich Mall. It takes you to the bowling. No, wait, bowling is in the mall. It takes you to the cinemas. It takes you to the shopping center, which has like a bunch of restaurants, Walmart, Target, like any store that you basically want to like purchase anything. And I feel like it's just a great service because like it's like timely. So basically it goes every hour. So I think that, you just schedule some time out today, grab some friends, go on the Jitney. If you just want to like just get a break off campus, you can definitely do that. And I feel like down the hill, like where there's like our little town right there, which I think is really quaint and cute. A lot of people say it reminds them of the town of Gilmore Girls. And honestly, I get that because you could just like walk around, you go to any of these shops, you go to Utica Coffee, have a little coffee and people watch. And then there are the events like the farmers market where all the vendors will come and like have their supplies, fresh meat, fresh vegetables, and plants that they sell. I went last year and it was a really nice experience, as well as the lighting of the village. So I feel like living in Central New York, even though it might sound scary, it has been a great experience so far.
This make us think. One of the questions that somebody submitted when they registered for today's session was talking about weather, right? So weather is always a pretty big topic, particularly if you're coming from a country with a warmer climate. Now, I know on this call, we have a lot of people coming from countries with warmer climates. So I'd love to talk about how was the transition and how has it been to experience the level of snow that we have here and what can people look forward to? Uriah, would you be able to take this one?
I can. Yeah, so I just experienced my last winter like 3-4 months ago, and yeah, I was prepared though. For like a month or two before winter starts, you get a lot of emails, not just from your clubs, but from actual staff on campus, tell you to like get your winter coats, get your coats, get your boots, get your layers. I remember getting an email step by step on how to layer. I was like, wow, to get the layer, the kind of gloves to get. Yeah, I kind of underestimated the effect. I was like, it can't be that cold. It was cold, but I learned like the first 2 days, okay, I should have actually read the whole essay and I should have layered myself well. So I went back to the essay, I got the tips I needed to layer, I got the codes. Yeah, so I got used to it eventually. I had my hot cup of tea every day. I covered myself completely. I got my head over, I got my cap sometimes, got my boots on. and you just march forward, I guess. You just start your day with a good attitude. It's cold outside, it's snowing outside, I know, but today's gonna be a great day anyways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know I was talking one time with another student that we have on campus who's from Accra, and he says, I bought the biggest coat that I could find in Accra, and I came not ready for the winter. But the good thing also is the college has outdoor leadership center, which has equipment for any kind of like camping or kayaking or any kind of outdoor adventure, since we have such great nature nearby. But one of the things you can get is a big puffy winter coat. So if you're like, I really need a puffy winter coat, I learned this fact last year, so you can get them actually right from the Outdoor Leadership Center.
Nice.
As one of the resources. But Joaquin, I know you've had now, so Uriah has his first winter under his belt. You've had now a few of them. So how has that been? What lessons have you learned? Can you give us wisdom?
Yeah, I guess you never get used to it. I mean, it's not annoying. But for example, last week I went to Puerto Rico for spring break, and it's been so cold for so long that I forgot how much I enjoy the warmth. But I have to say that it just becomes part of your routine, honestly. Just getting out of bed, putting your puffy jacket on, and leaving. And honestly, you get used to it. Like now I don't even layer. My first and second year, definitely it was pants and sweater and heat warmers and bunch of things. But now it's just a pair of joggers, some long socks, shoes, and then a puffy jacket, and then you're good to go. That's on your average day. There's a couple of days where you have to layer because you have to layer. But it's honestly pretty outside. Most of the time it's not even that cold unless it's windy, in which case it's kind of miserable, but I think that's honestly everywhere. And yeah, it honestly becomes part of your routine. Like I never in my life thought that I would have to wear a puffy jacket to go to the gym or to go to practice or to go to class. But you just put them on and take it off and then you're good to go. I think it's not a big deal, to be completely honest.
We like to joke sometimes on this campus. We say, oh, there's no such thing as bad weather, just inappropriate clothing, right? So bring a can-do attitude. And if you're similar to our other student who was like, look, I brought the biggest coat that I could find in Accra, Hamilton will be able to help make sure you can get a coat that's going to work for our winters. Now, with that said, that kind of brings us to ideas of what we bring with us to college, which talks about the beginning of your time here. Now, we actually had a question that was submitted today by one of our participants, which is specifically for ICEE, which is talking about the fact that you were a member of our OP program, our opportunity program, when you started here. Can you talk to us a little bit about what your experience has been like through the OP? What kind of support has that meant? Can you talk to us a little bit about that experience? Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Sure. Okay. So being a part of OP, you basically go through this 5-week intensive program. And that program was really fun for me because I got to build a community of people that, look like me and came from similar backgrounds as me. So that was really great. So I had that support system already. And I had the advantage of coming to campus before where there was no one. I just familiarizing myself with the territory, as well as getting accustomed to the resources available and getting to know professors and forming those connections, which I thought was really beneficial to me. Because when everybody else came on campus, they were still trying to find their way around. And I was just like, I know where this is. I can help you. I can take you there. So I think that was really fun. And even now, the OP program still supports me because you get an OP advisor that you have to meet with weekly, well, depending on the year. And if you have any issues, you can go to the OP office, in case you need emergency funding for anything. For example, since I came from a Caribbean island, I didn't have winter clothes and they provided me funds so that I can get winter clothes, which is really helpful because winter things can be extremely expensive. So that was really helpful for me. And they're just there to support you and guide you in your academic process so that you can succeed.
Absolutely. And that's kind of a fun thing because it talks about when we start over the summer, right? So Hamilton has a couple of different orientations over the summer, and I'd love to get into what some of those are like. Students can start planning. So the first students that come to campus are the opportunity students, but the second group of students are the international students. So I know Bonique, your office organizes the orientation process for international students. Can you talk a little bit about what is that experience and what can students look forward to?
Sure. So we ask that international students come 2 to 3 days ahead of time, ahead of the regular orientation, because you're going to have 2 orientations. You have international student orientation, and then next day you start your regular student orientation. The reason for that is we need to go over compliance and Homeland Security regulations so that you can remain in compliance for your entire time. And not just that, we kind of repeat what we're doing right now. We're going to talk about how to make, how to join clubs, where things are located. You'll get a campus tour. You'll spend time with current international students where they can tell you their experiences. And you meet your mentors. We have mentoring program. You'll meet your mentors. You also meet your international friendship family. So we have families that kind of like adopt you for while you're here. And you can spend time with them. So you get to meet with them. You have to have dinner with them. You also get to have dinner with the administrators on campus, sometimes some faculty where you can ask questions about classes and things like that. So it's 2.5 days, really. We ask that you come in. We start half day your first day and then 2 full days of orientation. And we feed you.
Food brings us all together, right?
Yes, it does.
For sure. So I'd love then to talk to Uriah. Can you talk a little bit about your experience as during orientation? So I know it was just last year, right? You were saying.
Yeah, it was just last.
Yeah,
I have a big smile whenever I remember orientation. It was great. I met a lot of my best friends during the orientation right now. So I got there a bit late, so it was a bit awkward. I was the only person I saw for a while. And then I had this meeting, and then I got to see a lot of people that were just as interested in me as I was in them. Those were from a lot of different areas, different stories, but we were kind of similar because we're international students. So I just suddenly got a small group of friends that were interested in me and I was interested in, and we're going through activities together. We had meals together. We sat on tables for different activities together. So we made conversations. We talked a lot. We laughed a lot. You look around, you see everybody laughing at one joke or the other. So it was very interesting, and I got a lot of information. The 2 days I had with them built a solid kind of relationship with other international students that I appreciate so much, because I see them around and like, yeah, you just remember the good old days, like orientation day. Remember he said this joke and it was nice, and I got to meet staff and faculty members, and we got to ask a lot of questions that helped our process in school. And most importantly for me, I got to learn how to stay in compliance, like how important tax really is. So you know how to like the kind of forms to fill, the kind of things you ask for permission for. So I learned like the Dr. Bonike and the international ISS, International Student Service, is very important, and you should always utilize them when you have like any doubts. Never make a step without yourself. She kind of like made sure we knew that. Yeah, so I feel like orientation was important to know that, okay, be on the right path, make friends, but always know that when you're unsure of something, you can always ask for advice from superior students, from higher students, and from the staff itself. So yeah, it was great. I had fun.
Yeah, I think it's a really important part of orientation, right? Because some of it, things like compliance, we have to talk about that, of course.
Yeah.
It's crucial to keep that all in line, but also at the same time, when you come to the US, how do you get a credit card? When you come, like, what happens if you need pillows for special pillows for your room? How do you get all those things? So I think that's a really great part of the orientation process, is that the International Cultural Association, which is the group on campus, one of the groups on campus that is talks about international students and works to help build community, partners with Dr. Bonike's office. And they do run to the mall to get anything that might not have come in on your suitcase type of thing. They also have suggestions, right? Of this is something I wish I'd had, and this is how, and they also will do trips. How do you set up a bank account, or how do you get a cell phone? All those types of things that might be on your mind, and you're like, should I be worried about this? And really, it can be really helpful to hear from somebody who's already been through that process and can kind of say, hey, this is what I wish I'd known. This is what I didn't know until 2 years in. But that kind of brings me to a question that people sometimes ask about, which is, what's something Was there something that you forgot when you came that you really wish that you had? What would that thing be? Like something that you're like, man, I wish I brought this thing from home and I really missed it. Joaquin, would you have a suggestion, something like that?
I was trying to think. Um,
We could also change it and say, what's something that you think people should bring, even if it's not super
oh,
obvious?
I brought too many things actually. Um, I brought way too many clothes that I ended up never wearing. Ended up it was a whole bag, an entire bag of just things that I would never wear. But I'd say honestly, it's more advisable to buy the winter clothes in here, like here in the US, not even in Hamilton, because like you find really good deals online with like North Face, Colombia, Patagonia, and they're like made for this, right? Like these companies are born out of people living in 30-degree weather. But I think I would have liked to bring more coffee, particularly or personally.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess honestly that. I think you have here everything you could possibly need. But of course, if you're like attached to something at home, definitely bring that. But I would say you would be able to do most of your routines here without an issue. There's not like a lack of resources or difficulties to getting things on campus by no means.
I see. Same question.
Yeah, so I was actually thinking, and I don't think I forgot anything because knowing my mom, we started packing extremely early. So there was no chance that I was forgetting anything. Like all 3 suitcases were packed, I was ready to go. However, I think that something you should definitely bring is something that reminds you of home or something that brings you like comfort, because I feel like that was really important for me. Like I know this might be a tad bit embarrassing, but I have this pillow that like I had since birth. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm carrying up this pillow, like I have to. My mom was like, you carrying up that pillow? What you doing with that? You're a big girl now, you don't need that anymore. I'm like, I'm carrying up this pillow. Unless you remove it physically from my suitcase, it is good with me. And it just brings me comfort every time. Like if I feel
Yeah.
homesick, I just like hug my pillow, I listen to some music from home, and I'm good to go. Like I'm comforted.
Absolutely. I think that's something that we have to acknowledge, right? Is that hopefully the experience at Hamilton is going to be great, rewarding. You're going to grow as a scholar, as a person, all those things. But the reality is there's going to be a time where it's hard, right? If it was easy, everyone would do it. So I think getting ready for that and making sure that, hey, I'm a human being, let's connect myself to something that is meaningful to me and will help me get through that can definitely be helpful. But also I think finding community once you're here. So I know, Uriah, you were sharing with us a little bit about some of the connections you made even as early as orientation. But I'd love to talk also about the campus because we've been kind of, I've been talking about a lot of different aspects of it, but it's a pretty large campus as well. Lots of facilities, buildings. I'd love to ask, is there a place on campus where you felt more immediately like comforted at home and had that community? And what would your favorite place on campus be?
Definitely the DMC. The DMC is this like a place for international students in general. I go there and I'm almost never alone. I see someone I know in the DMC just sitting there chilling. I'm like, hey, how you doing? There's coffee, there's tea, there are cooking utensils, there are cooking items. There's Dr. Boneke up there. There was Paula up there too. There were people, the staff and students. They're very nice to us. So we was like, there was no scheduled meeting there for real, but anytime I feel like, okay, I'm bored, I want to talk to someone like myself, I want to talk to an international student, I just go to DMs and there's a very high chance I meet someone I know there that's probably international as well. And we have a good conversation, we talk for a while, we go upstairs to talk about it again, we sit around. So I feel like DMC is a very nice place for international students because you get to cook your own food if you want to at the DMC, you get to stay around with friends, and you get to like it just brings a different vibe, a different feeling to you. And so I like definitely the TMC is definitely my best place on campus because of the type of people you meet there, the people that are there for you, the resources it has, and stuff like that.
Yeah, so absolutely. The Days Masolo Center, and that's where Dr. Bonike's office is located on campus as well. There's a kitchen. Also, I know oftentimes we go by there and folks are cooking all different types of cuisines. And I think it's really, really great to be able to have that place. Like you said, sometimes just find a community. And it's right in the center of campus, which is pretty convenient as well. Now, I'd like to make a little bit of a pivot because a few people have been asking questions about career preparation, which is something, of course, that's on a lot of folks' minds. I know we had some of these questions submitted ahead of time where students want to talk about internships, research. How does Hamilton help support students for career preparation? Now, I know oftentimes questions can come about compliance also when I'm doing career preparation and things like that. Would I have access towards internships as an international student? So before we talk about some of the ways that you all may have gotten involved with career preparation, I'd like to ask Dr. Bonique, when students are thinking about career preparation, internships, and all those types of things, what should they know? What should they keep in mind?
Thank you. International students have various opportunities on campus and off campus, depending on their year. My office partners with the Career Center. So we go over resume development, resume writing, making sure that you're prepared for the interview. They prep you over there. And then on campus for your first year, you can work on campus only. And then by your second year, when you've declared a major, then you can start looking for internship opportunities, which I know we have Hamilton programs in New York and DC. So you can work through those. And that's what we will call your CPT. And then if you have an opportunity to work off campus, as long as it's related to your major, then you get permission from my office to go work. What I ask students to understand is before you take any job on or off campus, please consult with me first so I can make sure you remain in compliance. But there are plenty of opportunities. Faculty members are very supportive, and we have a process on campus that's pretty smooth. We'll go over a few of those during orientation, but there's a lot of work opportunities on and off campus here. Just keep in mind that your first year, you can only work on campus, and we do that because you can't declare your major to your second year. So your second year, once you declare your major, there are many more opportunities open that align with your major.
Absolutely. And I think that's a question I get all the time is, are there opportunities to work on campus? And what I've said is I've never encountered a student who says, I'm trying to find a job, but I can't find one on campus. There are a lot of opportunities. Now, it might not be your top choice job. You might have a couple different options, but if you're looking for a job, those opportunities should be on campus. Absolutely. And I know we have students who are in a first year, we have a student who's a senior. So probably when we talk about career preparation, we have a little bit of different perspectives in that regard. So I'm going to ask, actually, maybe we'll start with our student in the middle, which is Icy. Can you talk a little bit about how your experience has been in terms of internships, research, or any of those types of resume building activities? And then I'm going to go to Joaquin, who's probably a little more in the midst of that right now.
Yes, okay, so I'm on the pre-health track, so there are different like requisites that I have to fulfill in order to go to my school. So I tend to meet with our pre-health advisor, Courtney Hans, which she's so great. She like really guides you with your 4-year plan and like in things like you should look for in terms of internships or like research opportunities. So for example, last summer I did research on campus with one of my chemistry professors, Professor Ryan Martini. He's great. If you're taking a class with him, he's a very funny man. And it was a really great experience because you're on campus during the summer. It's beautiful. Hamilton is so beautiful during the summer. It's just like a nice vibe. I really, really loved it. And then during my lab, it was 5 of us in the lab. So I had 4 other lab mates and I built new connections, like made more friends, which was great. And like on campus, it's just you guys alone. So you have to like cook for yourself and like find fun things to do. So like we had a movie night, we made brownies, we went off campus and had breakfast. It was a really fun experience. And then we did research and we did our research poster. And like it was very fulfilling. Like I felt very proud at the end of it because I was like, every time I passed by the science and I passed my poster, I'm just like, I did that, which is great. And going back to Courtney, after I fulfill that like research requirement, like I have to look for clinical opportunities. So I know like there's this internship that I applied for this summer, known as the PEP internship, which is like a medical enrichment program where you're able to like go through simulations and like clinical trials. And like it was recommended to me by her, or like even just like working in hospitals and like getting that experience. And I feel like you have so many resources on campus, like you're gonna have so many advisors, so many people to talk to you in terms of like guidance for career. Like we have a whole center. We have the career center dedicated to career preparation. So I feel like you're never alone. You're always going to have guidance in terms of preparing for your career.
Absolutely. And that's so cool, getting the opportunity to do research over the summer, your first summer on campus, right? And so that's something that not everyone realizes about Hamilton, is since we are a fully bachelor's institution. That means when faculty members are putting together lab research assistants and all of that, they're hiring bachelor students. So you can actually get involved with research as early as your first semester, your first summer. If you're a super go-getter, I know students who've literally been in research projects 3 weeks into their first semester on campus. So those kind of opportunities exist. Now, for students who are getting ready to enter the work field, I'd love to pivot to Joaquin. How has your experience been in terms of career preparation? Have you had any internships? How did all that look from where you are right now?
Yeah, so I'm sure Dr. Wadiki can tell you I've had way too many CPTs and requests through my time in Hamilton. So mainly through alumni, I started out interning at a couple nonprofits. So first I interned at Meta Project, but that was not through a CPT. That was during COVID online in Ecuador. But I found the opportunity through Handshake. Which is an online portal we have that posts job applications and internships and availabilities on and off campus. Then I had the chance to connect with a former international student. His name is Sadiq. He has a startup in New York, and I was able to work with him my sophomore year. And I was also able to get involved with Campaign Zero, which is a nonprofit that targets or tries to help police brutality by looking at arbitration. Funnily enough, I'm not a lawyer or I'm not going into nonprofits. Thanks to Hamilton also, I was able to get an internship with Deutsche Bank this past summer, and that's where I'm going to be returning after graduation as a full-time.
So you already have a job lined up at Deutsche Bank, which is on Wall Street, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Go team. So yeah, I think that's something that's really important to know, is there can be different opportunities, right? And you're like, I'm getting involved in the social justice program. That doesn't mean you have to necessarily go into social justice as a field. We're all complex individuals with more than one interest area, right? And I know you must have taken away a lot of really interesting experiences and skills from that internship that you'll now be able to take with you to your job when you graduate at Deutsche Bank, which is pretty exciting. And we do have a really strong alumni network, including of international alums who have graduated in the past 10 years, who are able to support students with mentorship and connections in terms of how does it work to try and do an internship at Wall Street over the summer, and what are things to prepare for. And I know that's really something that a lot of students have found super valuable, is the fact that community, we keep talking about community here at Hamilton, yes, but community also after you graduate, and giving back to the community, even through time and conversations and connections. But I think that's important. And then knowing, of course, that you'll have the resources of Dr. Bonique to make sure he can walk through what you need to do to make sure that these types of opportunities can then hopefully play out in full-time offers, such as Joaquin's looking forward to after you graduate. So I'd love to talk a little bit more about classes that have been on campus. So favorite classes. I know, Icy, you were already talking about a professor that you say everybody should take a class from this one professor. But favorite classes doesn't have to be something that's in your major, just something you really enjoyed during your time here at Hamilton. Uriah, you've got about 2 semesters under your belt, so you probably have slightly fewer choices. But let's start with you.
So my favorite class was my French class last semester. So it was a beginner introduction to French class, and she made it very interactive. Our professor, they made it very interactive. Like we had bingo, we had games in class while we're learning French. It was so fun. The class was the kind of class where you partnered with your classmates. Sometimes I'm so happy to go to class. I'm looking at myself like, I don't really like classes that much, but I'm so excited to go to my professor's class, because she makes class fun. We learn a lot during the class. We cover a lot of chapters. I realized we've covered a lot of chapters, but I know everybody in class by their first and last name because of the kind of activities we have together. We have so much fun together. The class is so interactive. Our professor was very great. And I feel like after I leaving the class, I realized I learned a lot in French, but I made a lot of friends as well. Like people I see on campus, and I start smiling because of the experiences we had together. Professor was great. She always emailed us. Most professors actually email you after your test to see, okay, your test was good. I'm proud of you. Okay, you made this mistake. Can we talk more about this during office hours? So most professors are like that after every single midterm or quiz. They just send you encouragement. Okay, you did very good on this test. You should be proud of yourself. Or okay, you didn't do as much as expected you to do. Was there a problem here? Can I help you with that? And my professor in my French made sure to do that every single time. She was very strict about that. She was very consistent with that. And that built kind of relationship between the students and her. And yeah, and so it was a very great experience for me. French class was lovely. And I see my classmates and everybody just you smile at each other like, yeah, I remember when we played that game together. So it was interesting.
Do you have a favorite phrase that you say in French now, or?
You know, it's salut or cuckoo. Cuckoo is just like hi, but it's cuckoo. It sounds cuckoo. It's cuckoo.
I always think it's so cute, right? Like C-O-U, C-O-U. I'm learning French on Duolingo, not as fun. But
Yeah, the class was
sure.
fun.
All right, Icy, same question.
I think my favorite class so far has to be one of them that I'm taking right now. It's a women and gender studies class called Gender, Health and Technology. And it's essentially about how it's like, okay, so it's how gender is influenced in like the medical field and like the gender disparities that occur, especially like within underrepresented communities, as well as how AIs are involved in health now. And like, since I'm really interested in going into medicine, just like seeing the applications of like these modern technology has been really interesting. And it also provides like a global like perspective of medicine. So I'm like really interested in the class. Like all of the readings have been really great. We've been having really great discussions. I am loving it. And the professor has been really awesome as well. She's just a ball of sunshine. Like she just radiates good energy when you walk into the class, just makes you want to speak. It's amazing. I really love that class.
I think that's such a great perspective, having that kind of energy going in. And I know sometimes people ask about like the size of classes and things like that. I know some of the statistics are we have 9:1 student faculty ratio, and it's somewhere around a third of classes are 12 or fewer. Has that been your experience? Joaquin, what's your biggest class been during your time here at campus? Biggest and most medium size, I guess, average size.
Biggest, it has to be one of my econ classes. I would say 20 tops, like 20. Actually, no, it was my intro to Soch class in the caged auditorium. And that we have like 30 people. Yes, that was it. That was the largest one, but average 15, 14. And that's because I'm an econ major and everybody here is an econ major and most people are. But yeah, class sizes are definitely they're small enough so you can get involved constantly and get the professors to know you, which is good and bad. Like you can't zone out, like you can't be distracted because you will get called on or the professor will notice, right? So it definitely helps with learning, but you have to be ready and always paying attention for sure.
Absolutely. So one of some of the benefits of knowing your professors and having your professors know you is that they know if you're not going to pay attention. So you have to pay attention for sure. So we had a question that came in through the chat, and it was also one that was asked pre-registration. So I think it's on people's mind, which is about food, right? Food questions on campus. Now, I know as an international student, the food's probably going to be different, right? When you come to Hamilton, it's probably not going to be like your mom makes type of situation to start with. But I'd love to hear about perspectives about food. And then I know, Bonica, you had a really interesting experience working with students and food as well. So I'm going to ask you after, or go ahead and start us off as well, because you've been talking a lot about food for students.
Yes, so when I came to Hamilton, I just started as well. I started in July last year, and I meet with every class. So when I met with, I think, class of 24, some of the concerns they had was that the food in the dining hall for authentic food. And most of these students were Chinese students, and they expressed concern that they do get some form of Asian food in the cafeteria, but it's not authentic food. So I went to task. Again, remember I said I advocate for students. So I met with the manager of our food service company, and we had a conversation about how we can give our Chinese students, all students in general, but these are the students that complained, how we can give them a sense of belonging. So what we decided to do is have guest chef come in, and we haven't really decided how the frequency of that, but we have a guest chef come in to cook authentic Asian food. And what I try to do as well is when I have meetings, I look at a number of people that RSVP'd and I kind of get authentic food from that country. Sometimes it depends on what type of meeting it is. If I have students from 5 different countries, I go to Syracuse, which is about 45 minutes to an hour from here. I'll go there and buy food from each of those countries so that students have a sense of belonging. And I also express to students as well, you are in the US now, and part of having a sense of belonging is also embracing the American culture. You know, so because if we focus just on food from your country and you never taste food from America, then you're not fully immersed in the school experience. But we do pay attention to concerns that students may have about food. And I have gotten feedback from not just Chinese students, from most of my international students, that they've seen a great improvement in the variety of offerings at the dining halls.
Absolutely. So I think that's a really cool, the fact that we're able to have periodically a chef come in and make specific, more accurate versions of authentic Chinese food can be really, really helpful. So I'd love to ask then each person on this call from the student perspective, experiences with food. Do you have a favorite dish that you eat on campus? And while you're thinking about that as well, I'll also share that one of the things that not everybody's aware of is one of our dining halls called McEwen has a really cool program where you can actually, once a semester, it's either once a semester, once a year, you'll forgive me if somebody knows, you can bring them a recipe, which is something from home, right? So something that your family makes your favorite dish, and if you bring a recipe for them, they'll actually make it for you, and they'll tell you when it's going to be on campus, and you can actually share it with classmates and say, oh, hey, today we're going to eat this type of thing. And again, I'm not going to promise you it's going to be just like your mom would make, but it can be really great to have that taste of food, taste of home, and be able to share it with others as well. But
I like to chime in, then piggyback on that. If you also bring a recipe, you can bring it to the DMC, which is where my office is located. I'll buy the ingredients, you cook.
Oh,
you know, and we just share. You don't cook just for yourself, we share as a community. And we've had at least 2 of those now. We have competitions, cooking competitions too. So it's a give and take. You know, the dining halls will support you, but also know that the DMC is here to support. I just need a recipe from you. I'll go buy the ingredients and you come to the kitchen here and you cook and you can dine with your friends.
And my invite's going to be in the mail, right?
Absolutely.
Great, perfect. All right. So Icy, let's start with you. Question about food, favorite dish at Hamilton. How's that been?
Yeah, the food has been definitely an experience, for sure. I think that's honestly the best way I can put it. However, I think that they do try in terms of like, they try to like make dishes from different cultures. They try to have like variety of options for people. Like I know McEwen is specifically catered for those who are like vegan and like vegetarian options. I really like McEwen too because the vibe is also nice, and like they have a particular section that's called like global street food. So like they tend to make food from different countries, which is really great. Commons is like one of the biggest dining halls on campus, so they provide a lot of variety. Like there's a little pizza bar, there's a poke bowl section, the salad bar, which is cool. And then I think they have like a new station called the Simply Oasis for those with like major allergens. I thought, which was like a really good addition, especially for those who have like big allergies. Like I have a friend who's like essentially allergic to everything, so that was like great for her. In terms of my favorite dish, I think my favorite dish, I think this is just like easy and like a grab and go situation, is a Philly cheesesteak from Dinah. Dinah is another one of the dining halls on campus, which essentially serves fast food, American type food. So you can find burgers, mozzarella stick, sandwiches, Philly cheesesteaks, and I recommend it. Like it's really good, easy, that they like cook for you, and it tastes good.
Absolutely. Diner is one of my favorite places on campus too. Not the diner, it's just diner. Uriah, I'd like to ask you that same question. Favorite meal at Hamilton?
Okay. Favorite meal at Hamilton is probably the pasta, the spaghetti pasta. I don't know what it's made of for real, but I'm excited when I see it. I'm like, definitely gonna get that. Yeah. So yeah, the pasta is my spaghetti pasta is my favorite dish. It has a lot of meat on it as well. I like to eat a lot of meat, and the pasta is designed with a lot of meat, and so yeah, I'll pick it.
There you go. I know I was in the dining hall actually like a weekend or two ago because some of the admission officers, we came to campus to go snowshoeing, which was fun.
Yeah.
And they had a bolognese with impossible meat in it, which was pretty fun and delicious actually.
Yeah.
So meaty pasta, but also vegetarian friendly versions as well. So Joaquin, how about you? Favorite food on campus? Which one?
Sweet and sour pork loin from Commons.
Ready
Definitely.
to go. Not a question.
Not even. But I mean, I think the food's pretty good considering they have to make food for 1,800 people. It's not like they can make like individual dishes for individuals, like, and the food's honestly pretty good, and the variety is. I don't think I could cook food for 1,800 people and taste that good. It'd probably be awful. Um, but there's honestly things for everybody. I go a lot to Commons and to Diner. Diner, it's well a diner. It's a lot of like street food, fast food. It's great, but I don't like to eat it more than once a week because then it piles up. But Commons, it has, as Isis was saying, as a huge salad bar, the Oasis. It has the granola cereal section of it, the poke bowl. Then you have the pasta side, the pizza side, and then there's also a sandwich section. There's a bagel section, and then now this year they started a omelet section where you can make your own omelets, which is great for the mornings. But yeah, I like it a lot. I tend to stick when there's no sweet and sour pork. I tend to stick with just a salad, and I normally get the brown rice with whatever protein they have in the home line, and I call it a day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we're running towards the end of today's session. So I would love to talk a little bit about what was the biggest surprise for each of you when you joined our community? I'm gonna ask Bonike as well. Biggest surprise for joining our community, because of course, for folks on this call, there's a lot of anticipation now, right? It's maybe they've already said, yes, Hamilton is my place. Maybe they're still considering a few options, but there's anticipation and trying to plan. I know Icy you said what? You started packing like weeks in advance, right? You're like, there's no way I'm gonna forget anything. But once you arrive with all of your expectations, what was something that was like, oh, that's not what I was expecting? And I'd love to ask each of you this question, and then we're going to wrap up with a question of why did you choose Hamilton? Kind of help people who might be making those types of decisions right now. Bonike, I'll ask you, as you shared with us that you are a new member of our community coming up on, not quite a year yet, but what's the surprise been since you joined our community? Something that was different than you expected?
The welcome I received. And I know it sounds crazy, but I moved down here from Detroit, Michigan. So I wasn't expecting the type of warmth that I received. My onboarding was fantastic till now. People are so helpful, very friendly. It almost makes you wonder like what's going on, you know, people are very, very, very friendly. So, and I wasn't expecting them to be mean, but I didn't expect this level of welcome.
Yeah, I think that's
and it's from students and staff.
It's hard to judge that until you arrive, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So Icy, same question.
I think what was surprising to me is the abundance of resources that Hamilton has like provided for their students in order to help them succeed. Because I mean, I don't know how many colleges have like writing centers or communication centers, QSR centers, to basically help them with their schoolwork, in terms of like you can go to them with a presentation you have to rehearse, or paper that they can reread for you, or like help with a problem set. Like I feel like that's extremely helpful, because sometimes you're just stuck on a problem and you need someone to ask in like crunch time, and like being able to go to these centers and like make an appointment so that they can help you is great. And like you have all of these advisors that could guide you in terms of career preparation, and just like in terms of like fulfilling your requirements for your major. Like the abundance of resources could sometimes even be overwhelming, but I think it's just for your benefit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Joaquin, same question.
That's a tough one, actually. Let me.
We'll come back to you.
I'll let Uriah go first, and then
Well, Uriah, same question.
Yeah, so for me, it's like the investment the staff has on the students' lives. I have like 5 advisors. All my professors know me by name. They email me. They invite me to office hours. Like I did expect like the staff, like the teachers and the administration to be disinvested in the students' life. Like they're always willing to help. Like my professor doesn't hear from me. Like if you miss a class, it's a very big chance you get an email from a professor like, oh, not judging you, but oh, I didn't see you in class today. We did this in class today. Do you want to see the Zoom recording of the class we took today? Are you well? Do you want to come to my office to talk about what you missed today in class? I'm like, they're so invested in you. They're trying to know what's going on with you, not just academically, but emotionally and personally too. They're always invited to office hours. Yeah, I can call them my friends. Actually, I can call my professors my friends. That they see me they see me around and they wave to me. I'm like, yeah, that's my professor. I'm very like impressed or surprised, very surprised by the investment and the staff and professors in general have with the students' lives, both academically and personally.
Yeah, it's a very different thing, right? It's a very different thing than what a lot of people experience in high school, a type of small classroom sizes, and being able to go to professors' office hours and have a conversation about what happened in class today. So Joaquin, that's surprising. You planned everything in advance. You knew everything that was coming.
No. Not to echo anything that's already been said. I think I was surprised by how active and athletically talented people here are. Like back at home, I played soccer my entire life. So when I heard about there's a soccer team, I'm like, oh, Americans don't know how to play soccer. They're Americans. And then surprise, surprise, they were actually insane. They were really good. And not only them, like every team on campus, even there's a lot of people who are not athletes because they choose not to be. And they're still extremely athletically talented. One of my best friends could play any high level sport ever in the face of Earth. And it's just impressive because they balance that. Everybody is at the gym, running, hiking, but also they do really well in school and keep an active social life. They do well in their careers. So I think that's really motivating. But the thing that surprised me the most was how athletic people were here. It was pretty impressive. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Not exactly what you hear always about Americans in the news media, right? Different experience. All right. So wrapping up, we do want to say again, a very humble thank you to everyone for joining us on the call. We're going to ask all of our participants the question, which is, what made you choose Hamilton? Remembering that people on this call, we may have some people who've already confirmed and some people who are saying, hey, I'm still considering options. What made you choose Hamilton, and what would you say to somebody in that position? We'll start with Dr. Bonique, as your position will be a little bit different than the others.
Yes, my perspective is a little bit different. Professionally, I chose Hamilton because for the past 20 years, I've been in a community college, which is a 2-year college, and that's all the experience I had. So I was interested in going for a 4-year experience and see the difference. And I'm glad I chose Hamilton. With the level of resources, like as I said, the level of resources for students is amazing. The support for staff, faculty, and student is also amazing. So I chose it for just to have something different, and I don't regret that.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Uriah.
So for me, I chose Hamilton because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Basically, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I'm so happy to be declared right now. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I I wanted a college that would give me the opportunity to like discover myself, give me opportunity to like take as many classes I want to discover what I want, and I'm loving that actually. And then I wanted a place where I'm not very. I wanted a place where I could like build myself little by little. Like I didn't want to go to a big place where the I wanted a place that was like quiet. That was not like not quiet, but like lovely and warm and calm. So I discovered Hamilton was in the town of Clinton that had great reviews online about the warmth of the people there, the relationships with Hamilton and the community. So personally, I wanted somewhere nice and warm and good and comfortable to start from. So I was like, Hamilton with all that. I got to a college where everybody was nice, the town around was nice, and it gave me the chance to like discover what I really want to do from college, what I really want from college, what I want to do forever for my life. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I chose Hamilton.
Bit by bit, right? Over time.
Yeah.
In a place of support. So Icy, same question.
Yeah, I relate to Uriah a lot. I wanted to go to a small liberal arts college because I know I didn't want to go to a big school because I really like community is definitely important to me. And I feel like Hamilton caught my attention because like like they really focus on community. You know, like they really put a lot of effort into like building community, like especially like our orientation is 4 days where you depending on your trip, you go camping without a phone, without technology. It's just you and your orientation group. And I just think that's great because like I remember I built really great connections on my orientation trip. Like it was great, a great bonding time. And I really wanted the open curriculum because I wanted to be able to explore departments outside of the STEM field because I wasn't able to do that during high school. And I feel like Hamilton provided that because there aren't any restrictions on what you have to take. Like you basically take anything that you're interested. So that really appealed to me as well. So I feel like if I was to offer any advice to anyone who's still questioning, I think fit, like what is the best school that fits right for you? Like don't think of rankings, don't think of like any stuff like that. Think of like what's right for you. Think, do I want to go to a big school? Do I want to go to a small school? Like, do I want an open curriculum? Like, think of those things and just see what is the right fit for you.
Absolutely. It's an important thing to think about where you are going to be successful as opposed to just where other people think for you. So you're going to be the one who's going to be here for 4 years, right? And so last but not least, Joaquin, what made you choose Hamilton?
First, I thought it was cool or interesting to go by myself to such a different place to where I grew up. I grew up in Lima. So like 11 million people, super crowded. Clinton, New York, I think has less people than Hamilton. So it's a completely different vibe. And I just I would never have the chance to do that again in my life. And being here, I've been able to do things that I would never think I would have done. Like studying abroad is so easy. Going hiking to like beautiful places, it's super easy. The resources on campus are incredible. And when I got into Hamilton, I had no idea what I wanted to study, but I knew that regardless of what I chose, if I wanted to, I would have a really like, I have no limits, right? Like Hamilton offers you such a great base and such a great network of people and opportunities afterwards that I knew that whatever I decided to do, I would be ready. I would be ready and I would have the opportunities at my fingertips. That was really exciting. And one last thing is I wanted to balance sports and academics. Although I don't play sports anymore competitively, I still try to keep somewhat active and I still am able to do that, balancing that and coursework. So that's also pretty cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we want to thank again, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you to our panelists. Your perspectives are really, really so appreciated. And I'm so grateful to each of you for waking up early this morning. And thank you to everyone for joining us. Congratulations once again on your admission to Hamilton. You should be very, very proud of your accomplishment. If you do have any questions, we want to hear from you, right? Reach out to us. You should already have several emails from me, and I can always help triangulate you if you'd like to connect with any of our specific panelists. If we didn't get to your question that you submitted through registration, I'm going to make sure you get an answer from me. So keep an eye on your email address. If you're looking to explore other great programs that Hamilton has virtually, sometimes it can be a little tough to visit campus if you're several thousand miles away, but we have a whole great plan of virtual programs throughout the semester, throughout the month of April, the rest of the semester. And so we encourage you to keep an eye on hamilton.edu/celebrate, which is where you'll be able to see those programs posted. But with that said, thank you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where in the world you are. And we hope you have a great week.